The Indie Council is in session. Welcome, everyone. This is a place for the leading voices from across the industry to gather to talk news, titles, and everything indie. I'm your master of ceremonies, Jill Grote, the Indie Informer. And today, joining the council, I haven't thought up any clever introductions, so it's Mike Towndrow, creative director of 6-1 Indie. Hello. And plenty of other things. But
dear listeners and or viewers, if you're watching the video version, what should I get there? There's a space here on my arm next to the bleh and under Golden Mask's armpit. There's a space of skin. I need something there. Drop your suggestions in the comments.
Put it in the comments. I want to hear. The skate deck that you didn't get at Summer Game Fest.
I'm so mad about that.
I know.
So mad about that.
I was really rooting for you, but the commenters didn't put the good luck in the chat like I was telling them to. So it didn't happen for you, and I'm sorry.
Commenters is crazy.
Well, listen. Chat.
Be cool.
I muted myself. Maybe I have a pillow. Who's to say, and a few pencils.
Nobody knows this, yeah. Oh, I've got like 50 pencils. I just shoved in a backpack somewhere. Someone did the hard work, and I deserve to have them.
I wonder if anybody used the pencils at Playdays.
I feel like one person did have a story about using the pencils, and I can't remember who it was.
Really?
Yeah, I want to say it was Charles, but that just seems like maybe
sounds like a Charles story.
So like I'm implanting that. Also joining the council today, Janet Garcia down there. Hello, how are you?
Hello. I'm good. I'm a little bit sleepy, but it's because I woke up from a nap. It was a pretty good one because we have like heat pads that we use so that our feet stay warm at night. Yeah. And when I'm napping alone, I'll use Isaiah's heat pad. So I have double heat pads, which is a little heated bed. It's so great. Really, I just want to be a cat. They have the best lives.
I mean,
yeah, for real. Like, I think if you could just, you're living somewhere rent-free, you're going to be fed for your entire life, and most of your life is just around napping. Like, I don't know if anybody would turn that down. And if someone did, I don't know if I would trust them as a human being. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, doing good. Started taking swim lessons. Turns out swimming, not as easy as I thought it would be. In my head, I'm like, once I do it, it's just going to work. Nah, that thing's hard. I'm sore.
I feel like it's way easier when you're a kid.
Oh yeah, everything's easier when you're a kid because you don't have the weight of like a Google Calendar in the back of your mind and the fear of
sinking you to the bottom. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. That's what it's been the whole time. Is the Google Calendar? Dang it.
Yeah, it's that, and I think Slack, as much as it's kind of a useful tool for work.
You heard it here, folks. Shed that Google Calendar for the summer.
Yeah.
Oh, kitty cat stole Mike's spot. I think, could we do one episode where all of us just put our cats like on screen and sort of see what happens?
Probably not, but we can take one picture like that. Yeah. We should probably get a picture.
That's
of
the
all our cats in our setup.
The not 4th of July. What am I thinking? April Fool's Day.
April Fool's, yeah.
Yeah. It's like, hi everyone. This is totally normal. We're cats.
They were chill all day, and now they're rummaging around the closet, making a ruckus.
They're ruckusing, everybody.
Respect the pod, children.
In order to better respect the pod, let's head over to indie news, everybody. I feel like we haven't done indie news in a while. Big piece of news to begin with, the 6-1 Indie Showcase is returning, coming to you September 18th. Anybody with games to submit, you have until July 8th to do that, if I have that correct. But Mike, tell us what's going on with the showcase. Also, you're a madman.
Your first question may be, hey, Mike, didn't you do one like 2 or 3 weeks ago?
That's
the
what
answer is yes. Follow-up question would be, are you okay? Questionable.
No. Yeah.
Well, there's no time for that.
We know the answer to that.
There's no time. So as per usual, we are now we're ramping up already for our fall showcase. I think we were like so hot off the heels of like PAX East and SGF and stuff, but I don't know if I may have mentioned it on a previous episode, but thanks for all the love and support for the May showcase. It was huge. Definitely our biggest to date. A lot of kind words, a lot of positive buzz, all that good stuff. So I don't know how the hell we're going to top ourselves, and that's all credit to the developers that are kind enough to offer their games to us to shine on a showcase. Obviously not a lot of details here, but yeah, you mentioned it. Submissions open up on Friday, June 20th. They will be open until July 8th. If you go to 61indie.com/showcase, currently, if you're listening to this before the submissions are open, there's a full like FAQ rundown because we want to just be as transparent as humanly possible. But that information will be regurgitated in the submission form as well. It'll give you a rundown of like what you need, some of the key dates that we have in mind for production, like trailer deadlines, stuff like that. And we experimented with it a little bit, but since we typically get somewhere around like 1,000 to 1,500 submissions during these things, we've expanded into a there's now two portions of the showcase. There is the video showcase, which you see on YouTube, and then there's an expanded Steam event, which video showcase typically around like, sorry, I'm blubbering because the cats are driving me crazy. Sir, please. Video showcase somewhere around 45 to 50 games. The expanded Steam event will have an additional 150 games. There'll be games that are available now, discounts, demos, upcoming stuff, just other like really sick stuff that we still recommend, even though they didn't make the cut for the video showcase. So yeah, that's all happening. September 18th, mark your calendars. It'll be on our channel. I just got the confirmation. It'll be on GameSpot, and to be safe to say, it will be on IGN as well. So yeah,
I love it.
Should be good.
I love that there is, for almost everything now, a kind of Steam component that makes it so much easier just to go on and like wish list things. And like if you are going through and like, I don't quite remember what this was, or you didn't catch the vibe totally, like going and be able to like check it out on Steam, and in some cases even play demos for those games. It's a really cool feature. Does that take a lot of extra stress, like I guess? Yeah.
A little bit. It's kind of inside baseball, but like
that's what we're here for, Mike. Throw that baseball right in my face.
The Steam page needs dedicated like graphics and design and stuff like that. So like that could be a little tedious just to get it all to look right and feel right. Steam is constantly changing the back end of how things work. So each showcase is also a learning process of like, okay, what's different this time around? Nothing like major, but like very minor things that like tend to throw a wrench into like when, it's September 10th as an example, and you're cramming to get shit done. Little changes and little tweaks or different menu options. But it's usually as simple as just adding the app IDs from the Steam page into like the I'll just call it the database, or like the collection that's what's going to be featured on the Steam event. From there, we're able to customize the categories. So like the way we did it with May, for example, like all the world premieres and showcase debuts, like things that are like the first time you see a game on a showcase, they were in their own section. All the exclusives were in another section. All the games that are available now, so like the pre-show games or any like shadow drops, those were in their own section. And then folks in the expanded Steam event, there was like a carousel kind of like tab system where you could hit like, if you want to check out what demos were available, you hit the demos tab and it shows you all the games that had demos. Games that were on discount, same thing. And then just general like available now, and things that you should add on your wish list. So yeah. Not too difficult, but it can be tedious if you're coming down to the wire. It's really just like balancing the Valve review process as well, because sometimes they take a little bit to get back to you.
Right. Yeah, no, there's so many different little parts of everything that you do that like every time you talk about it, there's something else that I catch. I'm like, oh, I didn't even conceive of that as being a part of this. And I really, really hope you get some sort of like help in your life, like professionally.
Yeah. You think like May was the 6th one. You think we'd have it like on lock, but no. Every time there's something that we're like scrambling or we forget. Yeah. Like even for May, it was the first time we streamed it out on Twitch, and just like legit the day before being like, how are we doing this? Where it ended up just being me like having OBS open on my screen, doing a makeshift standby, and then literally pressing the button and make sure I didn't change the scene, because if I changed the scene, it would restart the showcase.
Yeah, of course.
So even like little things like that, just trying to figure out. Unfortunately, that's not something I could automate. That's a manual kind of thing.
Yeah,
which is something I'll have to figure out for September, because I'll be in Chicago when the showcase airs. Thanks for reminding me.
I'm glad that I could help you with this process. I think that's something about indie media and indie developers that are probably very similar, in that everything looks quite nice and shiny.
It's a nightmare on the back end.
Yeah. So yeah, but if you can't wait until September 18th to play all of those fun games, there's Steam Fishing Fest going on right now, everybody, and the amount of people in my sphere who are so incredibly excited for this particular fest is astronomical. Because any good indie game has a fishing game. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why I don't know.
Rule.
Yeah, I don't know if y'all follow that account on Blue Sky that's like, is there a fishing minigame? But it's got like a gajillion people following it for a good reason.
God bless that account. They started following 6-1 right ahead of the May showcase, and they were like keenly covering the show. So I'm very happy I was able to deliver Cast and Chill for them.
Yeah, Cast and Chill.
Yeah, that looks really good too.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I was actually like, I pulled it up a couple minutes ago just to like peruse through and see some of the highlights. I think what's good about these and all of the like hyper niche ones, which I'd like to try to hit some of those up more, because what's nice is that you can actually like pretty much go through the full list. Obviously you can't maybe play all the games, and some of them don't. I think this one's a little bit, unlike Next Fest, it's not as future oriented. Like a lot of these games might already be out, like Moonglow Bay is on there, which is like already out, but they have it on sale to kind of take advantage of, I think, the potential visibility of it. So it is a little different than a Next Fest in that sense, but I think right now, like I looked it up and I think there's only like 48 games in there, which is like, you can scroll through those pretty fast, which is nice. But yeah, Cast and Chill looks really good. Just like the art seems cool, and the way that you can have like it active or kind of idle game style, which I feel like idle games have always been around and always will be around, but I feel like they have really boomed in the last few years, I think in part because of the success of Rusty's retirement that developer had, who's if either of you remember the name of the developer, feel free to shout it out, but they did the Haiku Robot game as well.
We do one of these and just insert it later.
But yeah, like that was huge for that dev, because I remember talking to them at like an event. I'm pretty sure either it's like through an event conversation or just like them posting online that like Haiku Robot didn't do badly, but didn't do like super great. And then Rusty's retirement was like lightning in a bottle. And then I think a lot of developers did kind of look over and say like, ooh, could I do that? And like the answer for a lot of them was yes. And like, you know, I think that's been cool to see people be inspired by that and keep that going. Another game I want to shout out and this is a game called Headwaters. I played this at the Seattle Indie Expo. I think that's the name of it. That happens adjacent to PAX. If you're not familiar with it, definitely check it out. It's not related to PAX, so you don't need a PAX ticket to go. It's free to go. You just like sign up, I think, out of just, you know, quota kind of vibes, and it's just in a hotel like on a certain floor. They kind of like rented a conference kind of room or office space area. There's like, I forget if the coffee's free or if you pay for it, but there's like some level of purchasable drinks, and there's like a bunch of different games, and it's like indie over there, where it's just like, which so that's some of my favorite vibes for it. Mix has similar vibes as well, where it's like it's a table and somebody's laptop, like it's got that kind of thing going on, which I think is really fun.
It's like in Boston for PAX East, the Boston, I forgot the organization name, but the Boston Indies, they do a similar thing.
Yeah, I forget if there's this one that they do in the museum, potentially.
In Boston or Seattle?
In Boston. I remember there being...
I think it was
a museum link where it's like in the museum. Anyway, the Seattle one, I played Headwaters there. The art looks really cool, and it has the sort of, if memory serves me correctly, and like glancing at the footage, sort of that like, don't break the line, kind of dealing with like the tension of the reeling in or whatever. Not sure how much it's involved since I played it. I know they were kind of talking about, you know, seeing like what the progression system looks like, or just kind of how to keep it like, you know, fresh and fun in the collection and all that. But I thought the the core gameplay itself was really nice. The animation work that appears when you get the fish of the little like almost like old school millennial meme, the like, you know, 2 color patterns shooting out and spinning. Yeah, that game seemed pretty rad. And like I said, there's other games like Moonglow Bay's on sale, and there's some other ones that lightly caught my eye that I might, you know, check out if they have demos. I think last thing on the fishing thing is I didn't really realize UI wise sometimes with pages on Steam, if they're not having the demo at the top, scroll down and check the sidebar, because sometimes the demo is positioned there. Usually when a game goes like on sale, a developer might swap it just to be like, hey, the thing I want you to see is that you can buy my game, and the like nice to have might be the demo on the side. So just kind of Steam tip, if you are on the hunt for demos, just because you don't see it at the top doesn't mean they don't have one. They might have it on that right hand kind of, if I knew design, I could name it vertical column. I don't know. This part that has other information where you see like the genre and stuff. It's like in that in that little section. So yeah.
I do want to highlight just make sure everybody redeems their Sassy Bass.
Sassy Bass, get it.
Their Sassy Bass avatar for free here.
It is pretty sassy. Where do you go for that? This sounds like an ad. Where do you go for that, Mike?
Where would you?
You go to the Steam Fishing Fest webpage over here, and you hit claim your free point shop items, and there's your Sassy Bass.
Okay, I'm actually going to do that right now because I already have it open.
Bam, free. Got it.
Got it.
I don't want to equip it now, but maybe I want to later. Now I have it. And look,
and
it's
you
a
get
blue
the frame
ripple.
too. You get the frame as well.
Yeah. Gotta get the frame, which I'll save for later. And look at that, a buoyant bait. Yeah, hell yeah.
Animated sticker.
Buoy? Is that a buoy? Little thing that bobs in the water?
Yep.
Yeah.
Which,
for all the times I use Steam Chat.
Yeah. All those times we'd be using it.
Like, drop some emotes in the Steam Chat, everybody, and then that's when you bring
get your buoy.
The buoy at. Who that buoy?
Yeah, I do have a key for Cast and Chill. Devs were kind enough to drop some off in our showcase server chat. I haven't jumped in yet, but very excited. It looks killer. It's kind of like one of those games visually. I don't understand how it games. Right. The water is insane looking.
So, like, this is one of those games when we were watching the early version of the May showcase, the 6180 showcase, where everyone was like, "Dang, look at that water!" Just such a like ridiculous reaction to have, and only when you have like a big group of people whose job it is to look at like games in particular, like to have that very strange reaction, but everyone was in on it.
On Windows and Mac, which normally, no offense to Mac users, I normally don't really care about that, but it matters for me a lot with idle games because my work computer is a Mac. So it's like, well, when am I playing? Am I playing on my lap? You know what I mean? Like, it's like, and again, idle, it's in the background typically. Again, and that's the Cast and Chill is kind of a mix because you don't have to play it idle, but I would probably check out the idle component of it personally. So, yeah.
I need to go back to the Dredge
Me
DLC.
too.
Oh, Dredge is back. Go back.
I have to do the second DLC. I've completed the hell out of everything else. I love Dredge.
Good.
I kind of want to replay it on PlayStation. Go for that.
I love Dredge too, but I'm a fake fan because I didn't finish the game.
It's good.
Yeah.
Well, I love that it's like legitimately everything here is about fishing. It's not just like, oh, we'll cheat and put something in here that just has a
there's like
game.
No shade. There's like a couple games where it's like you have fishing versus you're about fishing. But I would say yes, by and large, they are games that are about fishing.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Look at this. Clawfish.
Though? Holy hell.
Looking good.
Hold on. We're cooking.
Okay. Hopefully we're frying some fish.
Yeah, I believe I have clawfish. Do I?
Have
I just looked
it's
at
a claw machine with fish.
Yeah, it's a claw machine game.
It's so on brand.
Holy hell.
Yeah, I have
Why is that seagull talking to you? What's going on? Wow.
Anyways, there we go.
There we go, everybody.
Well, yeah, actually, we probably should stop talking about the fish.
No, I want to hear more about the fish.
I like that this is the one of all the niche ones where it's like, it's Card Battler Night at the Steam page. And we're like, shout out to that. And then we just keep talking. This is like the one we dig into.
I'm sorry.
Tide.
Yeah, what's with the little blood cult? Let's summon demons. Is it fish? Are the fish the cultists? Come on now.
Okay,
What?
it's haunted twist on fishing. All right.
It's a demonic fishing adventure. Yeah.
Embark on it. Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
The mix has me a little nervous. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
My low blood cult.
Yeah,
But you know,
and that might just be a bug. I don't know. Sometimes people take those bugs really seriously.
Really seriously.
That's true. Listen. No judgment.
Morning Tide caught my eye. Mike, you're a sicko, so maybe you should check that out when we're back. I hit for the demo. It says it's a first-person fishing horror game. A guilt-ridden fisherman sails into forbidden waters. While every catch, the echoes of his life rise to the surface. Unravel the past, seek redemption light, or be consumed by the morning tide. That's not the right one, Mike.
I don't think you're looking at the right one.
No,
I'm like,
mourning I'm mourning like someone died. MOURNING.
Okay, I see it. That looks like a sicko game. Yeah.
It's like, okay, the art
different.
seems pretty, nice.
Janet.
No.
It's got a nice grit to it. And that idea of like, again, the water is like such a good spot for horror because it's scary. Which I'm going to try to forget when I'm taking my swim lessons after this episode. But
yeah, no, it's going to be fine, Janet. It's going to be okay.
If you can see the bottom, it's okay. Anyway, yeah, there's some interesting ideas going on in this. So if you don't hate fishing, you should take a little glance. Probably find something there that's cool.
Look at this man.
Oh, I hate this. Oh,
yeah. It's like, what's the name of that actual fish? It's like a
stingray, right?
Yeah.
Is it right? It's
this is the man that killed Steve Irwin. Yeah,
the exact one. We caught him. Good job, everybody.
Rest in peace, Steve.
Steve Irwin. I was gonna ask Janet about where she was in her life when the Steve Irwin situation happened, but I feel like we've gone so off the rails at this point. Do I want to bring it back, or do we want to just keep going? That's
I think we move on. Move on.
Like Steve has. Continuing on the Steam theme, though, developer Chris Haney has talked about the Steam Next Fest and pulling some of the numbers and some observations that he's made about Steam Next Fest over the past couple of years and how it's been going, which, I'll put the link down in the doobly-doo down below so everyone can go check this out. I don't think it's going to be a particular shock for everybody to learn that you have been getting more and more demos as the years have gone by, making it harder and harder for everybody to play games, but also it seems like it's really causing the top people who are getting shown, they're getting good amounts of wish lists, but once you drop down into 10 and below, 20 and below, it's not seeing a lot. And I think Mike might have a little bit more knowledge of this personally, so I'll let you speak on this a little bit too.
Yeah, as there's 3 Next Fests per year. Since I started working in marketing, each one gets more and more saturated, and we've been having conversations internally of Next Fest used to be such a big beat for folks, but we're starting to get to the point where unless you break that top 10 and you have a significant budget for paid ads, influencers, just to drive as much traffic to your page as humanly possible, not only when Next Fest properly begins, but the weeks prior to kind of trick the algorithm a little bit into pushing in your favor when the fest actually begins. It's the effort starts to get not worth it. I'm not going to name names, but I had 2 clients in Next Fest this year. One was consistently in the top 10 throughout the week, which I'm very grateful for. So they're split up between genre and vibe and category stuff, but the main things you're looking at are the charts. So it's top demos, popular upcoming, and I forgot what the other one is off the top of my mind. One game was consistently in that top 10, that front page throughout. And that's what Jill was talking about, where that's where you want to be. That's where you'll see the most impact, because the general Steam audience will scroll 1 or 2 pages, wishlist the games that they vibe with, download the demos that they vibe with, and then bounce out. We are the rare exception that are digging through the depths of Next Fest hell to find the little gremlins, the little gems. So yeah, alternatively, I had another game that did quite the opposite. That like it was popping up in the genre specific tags and whatnot in the carousels, which did some favors, but in the main charts, it was not doing too hot, and it just stayed there. And like the wishlist gain wasn't that great, and you know, it's a bummer with how much effort goes into the marketing, both on like our side and obviously the developer and the publisher side, because it's a lot of resources that could be spent elsewhere. So yeah, it's an interesting event nowadays, like especially like if you scroll through there, like I found games that launched back in 2023 that were in here. Stellar Blade was like promptly on the top of that list, which just came to PC. I don't know why it was on this list. Games that have been in Next Fest previously, but they found some sort of loophole to be in here again, because you are only permitted to do one Next Fest per game. Yeah, I feel like, you know, there needs to be, we talked about this previously, I think it was probably around February Next Fest, like without some sort of curation, like unless you are in that top 10, top 15, top 20 that has the resources to really fucking push for that top spot throughout the week. I don't know. In my opinion, Next Fest is becoming kind of lesser and lesser of a important beat for folks. Whereas years prior, we used to like center like major beats all around Next Fest. You'd even see like with like Devolver games, for example. Devolver has like a usual strategy of like they'll announce a brand new game and then the demo will be available 2 weeks before Next Fest, and then usually it's doing pretty well in the charts. But like a lot of the Devolver stuff, like Baby Steps was probably like 4 or 5 pages in. Same with Ball Pit.
Yeah.
Which is kind of surprising. So yeah, it's yeah, I don't know. Next Fest is an interesting beast nowadays.
Yeah. According to Chris information here, it seems like there were twice as many brand new demos available in this month's Steam Next Fest as there were in October's. So it's
doubling.
wild.
Like it keeps getting more.
Yeah, that's wild to think. And I wonder too, I noticed, and we're going to talk about some of the things surrounding this month's Steam Next Fest as we get into our topic of the show. But I did notice more and more that the demos are hitting way before the fest actually starts. So
yeah, that's
seems
a
like
strategy.
Yeah,
where you kind of like a rule of thumb we usually do in marketing. We advise folks, if the demo is ready, drop it a week or 2 prior, so you start affecting the Steam algorithm positively. So when not only the media preview starts the week before Next Fest, but when the fest actually begins, you are starting at a bit of a head start that hopefully you populate on the charts, high up on the charts.
Yeah. And to just end on a shout out, because I was really excited to see this, Tiny Bookshop got 300,000 wishlist. It reached that level. So wild. Good for them. That's a really good game if y'all haven't checked it out yet. Like,
haven't checked it. I thought it launched like last year.
No, not yet.
Yeah.
It's gotten a lot of talk, but
this is a new thing. They do have, I just noticed it on the homepage of Steam. They do have the 50 most played demos.
Oh, go for it. What have we played? See, so the thing is, we've gone through this kind of thing before, and we're always a little shocked at some of them.
It's a bit like anime coded also with the solo leveling. Shout out to solo leveling. No spoilers. I'm only a couple episodes in. I don't know if that game's gonna be good. I was like, there's a solo leveling game. Not to be mean, skeptical. There were, I think, as far as like looking at this list of the top 50, again, it's kind of a weird comparison point, and I don't want to necessarily, I don't know, position us as like, I mean, we are the Indie Council, so it's like we kind of do position ourselves as like the experts in the field. But I will say there were several things that were already on my wish list on here, which I think is like, in terms of, I don't know, not all those are wildly deep cuts. Like I have Dispatch wish listed, that was in the top 50. Yep. You know, like,
No, I'm Not Human.
Shout out to No, I'm Not Human being number 8. That's pretty impressive.
So good for them.
I have that on there too. I have that on mine. Starburst is in there. Clover Pit, which makes sense from
Clover Pit makes sense.
Why am I blanking on everybody that's involved in marketing that game?
Panic Arcade, which they've done Yellow Taxi Goes Vroom.
Mm-hmm. I see you have the Brezeton is on there, Moonlighter 2. But again, it is like, I think of the indie titles on there, they are the ones that have like a little bit more of a marketing budget and media presence. You know, we have those conversations on what are the indies that get like mainstream coverage. It is the like the ones that show up at like SGF / like Keeley stuff. So, you know, like that have that, like Meet the Hollowers on there. So they are kind of the like more popular upcoming indies, but you know, certainly it's a solid spread. I feel like this next fest in terms of what's in the top 50, in terms of like diversity of, I think, genre, style, art design. Like this feels like that makes sense, you know, kind of vibe from looking at this.
Yeah. I think the other thing that we talked about the last time for the top 50 for things that are surprising for us is that I sort of forget that Steam Next Fest is so heavily computer based, because obviously it is. So it's like a lot of the computer crowd comes in and like is interested in the top PC type games as well, which is not necessarily where we exist in the world. But yeah, it's good to see as many indies as there are in this list as well, because Steam Next Fest is not like specifically an indie show or an indie based thing, but considering just how many indies are on Steam, like it is good to see a lot of indies getting a lot of love.
Yeah.
Yay.
Amen.
I liked Absolem. Okay. I'll talk about that later though. Let's head on to topic of the show. Concluding the summer festivities, because we've had a lot of them. The summer is filled with so many different things that it's sort of hard to get a grasp on when you're in the middle of it. You sort of have to like hope that you've planned enough to get yourself through. But let's start out with Summer Game Fest. All three of us went. Jenny couldn't stand to sit here and not talk about coming with us. She had massive FOMO, so she had to duck out of this particular episode. But we love her. So here we go. Everybody gets a picture of Jenny with her cat. How y'all feel now that you're back? Are you rested? Are you feeling no?
I feel pretty good.
Okay. Well, you just had that nap with those 2 heating pads, Janet. So
yeah, that's the secret. Yeah, just take a little, just lay down, have a nice little lay down. But yeah, I mean, I think we kind of predicted this going into SGF, but definitely felt like a smidge heavier on the indie titles, which is a W for us in our content, and maybe a slight L for Jeff and the Jeffettes that run SGF. Really from a clout perspective, again, this is not to be like dismissive of the game. I don't think that like Jeff hates indies and only goes there when he like can't get the AAA, you know. But like the reality is, it's a show about getting an audience, getting eyes, and as we even see in something like, again, looking at those demos, like a lot of times, like it's hard for indies are kind of indie for a reason in a way. It's like it's a deeper cut, it's a more specific thing, and it's like less mass market than other titles. But it was really cool to get to by that end play a lot of indie games at a show like this, but also have the like the calm and organization that SGF does have. Again, love PAX. I think PAX is killer for indies, but at the same time, you know, I'll be having some of them PAX appointments, and then I show up and they're like, "We'll see if the station clears up," and I was like, I only had like 15 minutes to be here, so you know what I mean. But it's a very like clean, in my opinion, like well run show. Shots to the people that, you know, orchestrate, but also of course the PR teams and developers on the ground that are keeping track of those schedules and getting people situated.
Yeah, just to sit on that for a second, like I cannot give Playdays and that team enough credit. I think Playdays is the best run gaming event, and obviously we're in a privileged position where media and like sure we have our critiques with PAX as media, but man, Playdays is just so smooth. And even from hearing from folks who have exhibited there, like their tech team is outstanding. The people who operate are there on the ground floor helping the exhibitors out are all outstanding. Shout out to like the free food, the free drinks.
Oh, so good.
Shout out to the media area this time around. I think like, yeah, it's we're definitely spoiled when we are over there.
Right.
So yeah, just shout out to just like how Playdays is run in general. I think it's outstanding.
I didn't even know, like as people who go there and experience it, it's very easy for us to like recognize all of this. I didn't realize how communicable it was via photos, because I put some photos up of like the floor and what kind of the big HQ looks like. And like even people who are just seeing the photos, like that looks so much more relaxed and chill and organized than like a PAX. And there are a few reasons for that. Like it is a situation where it is only press, so it's a very small subset of people who
And
would be
content
at PAX
creators.
anyway. What?
Yeah.
Press and content creators.
And content creators,
It's
media
like a
in
small
general.
list of like approved media, and you cannot apply for the show, which I still think is just generally an L in our industry.
Yeah.
That like so much of it is like obfuscated.
It's very
but
gatekeep. Yeah.
yes, but you know that is the setup, so it's a very small crowd. To your point, Jill.
Yeah. And on top
So
of
it's
that,
like a very warm environment also.
yes.
Like it's very relaxed. Like the couches are all nice. It's
very
it's like dimly
thoughtful.
lit.
Yeah.
Yeah, dimly lit.
There's no like music playing in the background. I just kind of got it's a good setup. Like you can get there, you can do your work.
And because
that's
everyone
all you
else
really need.
Like,
because everyone else is media, there's a certain like understanding of like everyone's here to work, and so you're not getting that kind of yelling and screaming that you get 100%. In a PAX of like, so that there is a little bit of that, but also everything is run by appointment, so you're not getting the like waiting in line for 2 hours situation, because you show up when your appointment is, you get seated and you do the thing for the most part. That's I think
obviously
go ahead.
this sorry I was to say like obviously like a part of this also is just like the price tag that does come with it in terms of like people who want to exhibit there. The information, that news came out last year. I'm not going to repeat things and like whatever, because I obviously being on the marketing side, I have more information, but it comes with a price tag, and there is a reason for that. I think just in terms of like the vibe and like the exclusive access to media and getting that attention that you may not get at a PAX. Just the environment in general is just so killer.
Yeah. I think a part of this too, I think I've said this before, but Keeley started as a journalist. So the understanding of what that, necessitates as far as like covering something, he's really, really good at, and his team is really, really good at catering to those things. So yeah, it's a really fun atmosphere to be in. It's also just really nice because it is a very concentrated group of your people. If you are in media, you are going to meet everybody that you haven't seen. Like a PAX, maybe some people have come, maybe some people haven't, or maybe like Jenny was at PAX and I saw her like twice, like, whereas like if you're at Summer Game Fest and you're at the Playdays campus, you're going to see everybody. You're going to be talking to them multiple days in a row. You're going to be talking about what you played and how life is going. So it is a really, really nice setup as well to be able to not only socialize, but like in these events, socializing is a very business oriented thing, like networking a lot of the times, even if you are just hanging out with your friends. It's a great time for like the council to come together and be able to be actually in person and speak with each other, and just be able to see like there are so many people who you haven't seen. I think Jacob Geller and I had never seen each other in real life before, so that was like a nice thing to be able to actually like meet the real human being.
First time I met Jacob and Kelsey. That was great.
Yay.
Woo.
Yay. It was always me and Kelsey's interaction was very much like, we follow each other, but I don't think it's ever happened. Hi. I was like, yeah, that's typically the vibe.
Yeah,
it's great. I do regret. So like last year I did so Playdays is previously it was just at the Saturday, Sunday. They expanded it to the Monday. Last year I did the Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Monday last year was very much like I'm shot. Do I necessarily need to be here? So like I decided this year to just do the Saturday, Sunday. Man, I regret not doing all 3 days because I crammed my Saturday. I was back to back to back to back. I felt awful going into Sunday and into Saturday night. So yeah, next year I will be fixing that.
Obviously, it's like a taste thing, and I don't have like a strong memory of what games I saw last year versus like this year, so I can't really like compare the list or anything. But I kind of felt similarly. Like last year, I never planned to cut out any days. I live in LA, so like I'll just go. It's fine. But I remember on Monday I had almost nothing, and I was like, oh, it's kind of thin. This Monday I think it was still my lightest day because just the way I personally schedule, I try to like fill that day sort of last to some degree and kind of figure out, like you try to create those spaces where it's like you can mass send, okay, I'm free like these giant time slots, and then that obviously closes as you go on. But yeah, I feel like I had more to see personally this year, and maybe that is just like the indie side of things where it's like, frankly, some of those AAA appointments, like, oh, I couldn't get last, so maybe it's a combo of that and just feeling that there's maybe more indie titles, so things that like I was drawn to check out. But yeah, it was there were like a lot of like cool titles there. Interestingly, with Next Fest, there were some games where almost like that PAX problem where they're like, well, we have a Next Fest demo that's like live right now. I don't personally mind that because I one, that happens so infrequently in SGF, I don't care. But two, it's like I might as well just play it here if I'm here and signed up to play it here or whatever. But that did happen for like, I know the Ratatan, the Patapon game. Yeah. I just add more ons every time I say it. Like they had like a Next Fest thing. Which, hey, I mean, you're trying to like get your game out there. I'm not mad at it, but it is that thing of a couple people being like, oh well, maybe I like people that had a tighter schedule were like, damn, maybe I should have like done it a little differently if I had known I could like play that, on my own at home kind of thing. But yeah, good show for the indie scene for sure.
Shout out to the Annapurna setup also.
Oh yeah.
Annapurna and the Papa Gender crew fucking crushed that shit. That was such a good
vibe. Very bougie. They had like a nice retro setup that definitely leaned very heavily into mixtape, and they're like, if you squint, it kind of applies to the other game we're showing, and I'm like, no, it doesn't. It definitely did not, but like the vibes were still very fun. It was definitely it seems like very weird to say like it's giving Stranger Things as in it's giving old, but like it has that nice cozy vibe to it.
Like nostalgic old school stuff.
I know that era existed before Stranger Things, but we all know we didn't care until those kids were looking for their friends.
None of us lived through that at all. That wasn't nostalgic enough to us.
We all just received our Playdays survey in our inboxes.
That's content. We'll just go through and do it on
weird timing. Yeah, do it live.
Let's talk about the actual showcase itself. We all went. It's one of those fun things because I'm never convinced that I'm going to be able to go because it is again, like it's not, you can buy tickets. Like it is a cool thing where you get to meet people, and I got to meet
to the live show specifically
for the live show. Yes. I got to meet
the showcase that you could watch online.
Yeah. I got to meet people who were like really good backers for a lot of us here who are really big fans. Have people in line who are like, hey, I know your face. What's going on there? Like I sold at least 2 different people on the Game Informer subscription while we were waiting.
You were hustling all weekend.
I was like, come on, let's go. Get that magazine. So like that's a really interesting show in that you're going to go ahead of time. None of us get to sit next to each other, which I would like to be able to request that in the future.
So the trick is you have to be a part of the same organization. So like me and Kyle were next to each other. We got assigned next to each other because we were both applied as 6-1 Indie.
Okay.
But because you're MinMax and your other website, Indie Informer.
Whatever, the Indie Informer, whatever I am.
Yeah, they just kind of scattered. I wish it was like there was a media section.
Mm-hmm. I feel like they're like, I don't know, low-key is, but it's like maybe a little messy. Because one fun fact, there were 3 of us from MinMax, but one of us wasn't sat with everybody else. Mm-hmm. They only sat 2 of us together. So I don't really know. Now, granted, maybe we just looked at where the open seats were and just sat there anyway. You know what I mean? Like, I'm officially saying that. But
our section was very empty where me and Kyle was. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we had
we had an entire row clean.
Yeah, we similarly had not the whole row, but a lot of the row was empty. And I wonder if that's like meaty, because I know like a good amount, if not all, people invited to like the play days get invited to the live show, and I think a lot of people don't go either because they're traveling that day, they're tired, or they just don't want to attend, or they're covering it because you can bring your laptop, but it's much easier to cover it at your hotel. Like if I was writing about the show directly, I would do that at my hotel or in my house.
It's also a pain in the ass to get to. I hate that it's at SoFi, not at
very
Peacock.
far away. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a continuing theme with any showcase really, but Summer Game Fest in particular, that going to it and being a participant in the actual thing as it's going makes me less informed of what else is going on and less able to cover it, and things that are happening. So it's just like a thing that keeps popping up over and over again because if you're in the audience for the Summer Game Fest showcase, like I'm out here trying to take pictures and put stuff up on socials and stuff while things are going on, but that's not going to be the optimal way to do it rather than like being at home on your setup watching it from a computer. And as Janet said, that's why a lot of people actually don't go to the showcase itself, but it is a really fun thing to experience because you're not only experiencing like the media and kind of having that experience. It's like when the Resident Evil announcement popped up at the end, there was a couple next to me that jumped in the air and started jumping up and down and hugging. And it's just not, you don't get that.
Also.
Yeah. Mike and Kyle want to apologize for that level of PDA.
Not gonna lie, that was the only reason me and Kyle went. We were like, there's a chance Resi 9 is being announced here. I want to be in the fucking room.
Right. But there were a really fun amount of indie games because I went in very cynical. We did have that big sort of indie push Janet mentioned, like I can't remember if it was last year or the year before for Summer Game Fest. And I'm like, okay, that's sort of because it was a slow AAA time, and I hate that indies are being used that way. But it seems like either, and probably both, but either it's a response to that criticism afterwards where people were like, he's only using indies as a way to fill the gaps, and like they're being utilized in that way. It's kind of icky. And then also a sign that these games have a large place in the gaming sphere and actually do bring in specific like demographics and very different demographics than perhaps other games that might be shown at a Summer Game Fest. So there is a lot of value to having them there, which is why I'm happy to see more games and more indie games shown there. What y'all think about the games?
I think it honestly, the showcase still, I think because it's so long, does kind of struggle with having like a lasting memorability a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that it's still like we have indies here because we don't have anything, but I think Jeff is good at spinning that. I'm trying to scroll through. Giovanni from Digital Trends had like a really good take on that aspect. And I want to quote it, but I don't know if I'll be able to scroll far enough. But basically, they were like, Gio had said like, oh, Jeff is really good at spinning this as, oh, see, like actually it's because like a lot of people are playing indie games, and it's like, yeah, you're setting this up because you don't have as big of a thing this year. And I think you can even see that in the YouTube title after the fact. They go back and rename those videos with the biggest games. It'll say like blank blank and more. And this year it only said Resident Evil 9 and more. And that's like their vibe. That's not me. I'm just stating what I see. You can draw your own conclusions. But the conclusion I drew from that is that they felt they didn't have a lot other than RE9, which is maybe why they teased it 2 times in one singular showcase, which I also don't agree with. Also hated the Silk Song thing. We need to talk about that for sure.
Well, we're getting to it. We're getting to it. Don't you even worry about that.
But there definitely were some. It's a little hard. Honestly, one of the most memorable indie titles. What was this indie actually? The Puppet Game, is that indie?
Mm-hmm.
It is.
Because
so
it was contextualized in a way that made it something that is easy to remember. But I think a lot of the other titles, they do kind of melt together a bit, despite me being excited for I think plenty of them. But yeah, Mike, you were gonna comment on that.
No, like that was probably my biggest surprise and pop of the show because that is a developer I've been following on TikTok for a few years, who's been messing around with this puppet tech in Unreal 5, and it was very similar to like Dino Blade, where they very much were just doing it as a portfolio piece to mess around with tech. I love that it got enough traction where he wants to just make a full ass game out of it, and I think this is the perfect kind of game for it.
That's Felt That Boxing, by the way.
Felt That Boxing.
I believe
It is impressive. It is bonkers what he's able to achieve in that engine. The show, I thought the show overall was fine. I think it has a lot of pacing issues. I think it's a little too long. You know, the ad spots are always obvious. Maybe that's just like that could obviously be like a us thing or a me thing where it's kind of easy to point out nowadays. But yeah, I agree with Janet where like it definitely the big thing was Resi. And I think there's a reason there was like the sale thing and then the tease and then the actual reveal. Just like, again, it's just like unnecessary padding. Like, did we really need to do that? But yeah, overall, fine. There were a couple games I'm definitely into. Like Ill is super sick. Obviously Blighted, which we've known about for a while prior. Sick. As far as the AAAs go, hell yeah, Sonic Cross World Racing. Are you kidding me with all these guest characters? The man from Yakuza? Hell yeah, let's go. The new Scott Pilgrim from Dotemu. Yeah, there's a lot of good bangers in here.
Yeah, I want to shout out Neo.
Yeah.
Memories like, in Orbit.
Yeah,
as Janet was saying, like I had to scroll through this list to like remember because the showcase itself just it didn't feel memorable. And I think that's a pacing and a length issue.
Yeah,
I found
and structure issue.
I found Gio's post.
Okay,
which says,
we need to quote Gio.
You can always tell when Keighley doesn't have a ton of AAA announcements for his shows. The guy knows how to control a narrative, and yeah, and I think he did a great job doing that because like you set it up in that way, and it's gonna be like, oh yeah, like this is. Like, it's smart, right? Opening with that Game Discover Co. graphic, which shout out to Game Discover Co. Great place and resource for like information and analytical, like, what's the word? Like breaking down numbers and making them, you know, meaningful in the wider landscape of games in a way that is interesting and not just, you know, how many concurrents does this have? Which I feel like is a lot of times on outlets that are not specialized in that tend to kind of like stop and end there, and I think Game Discover Co. really like goes deep into different contexts in cool ways. So hey, shout out to Game Discover Co. being there, even though I mean it's not like he said this was from Game Discover Co. But they had their little icon in the corner, and you know real ones know. So yeah, like, I still, because the show is so long, I know they could never do this, but I wish the show was half the length, and then we got to do Day of the Devs right after, because Day of the Devs does air after if you're watching online, but in the theater it doesn't air there, and I feel like
that's my biggest gripe about being there in person.
I would love to have that actually up on the screen and be able to watch
even
it.
If it was just an event, like an after party type event kind of thing, which I know they do have some after things that like happen usually from like a different company or like some type of, you know, some type of brand is like, hey, we're sponsoring a thing, and they have their own list for that, but like some type of integration of Day of the Devs into the in-person show would be nice, but I don't think that's necessarily ever going to happen. But that's something I would love to see on the indie front.
Before we delve into Day of the Devs, I do want to touch on something that I noticed that I have a theory about, and maybe I'm off. But Mixtape showed up at the showcase, and it looks fabulous, and a lot of people got to play it, and it was in a lot of people's top games of the showcase. But we got it coming soon, which is really unusual for a Keighley showcase. Usually he is pushing for like some kind of new announcement. But we got a lot of that from a lot of like Annapurna type games, I feel like.
You want to know why? Probably.
Why do we think, Mike?
There's probably an Annapurna showcase in July.
That's what I'm guessing, is that there is an Annapurna showcase coming up, because I'm like, oh, a lot of these games that I was looking forward to didn't have any information that I was expecting. And then I put the dots together. I'm like, oh, interesting. So you heard it here first. That's our prediction. Annapurna is probably coming up real quick here, and hopefully we hear from that.
Right. Usually in past years, seems like July. I don't think they pushed to August because they want to stay away from Gamescom.
I don't know if I've ever noticed so many of their games in the summer season just be very coy about what information they have. So yeah, with that, let's head over to Day of the Devs, because that does happen right afterwards. And y'all, this was such a banger. For all of the like critiques we have of the main showcase, I mean, there are always critiques to have for a presentation, but like, y'all, this had so many games. We had hitting off with like Big Walk. We're all playing that together, right? Like, we're all going to be walking big.
So fucking killer.
It looks so much fun. And this is from the developers, the House, which did Untitled Goose Game. And it looks weird and just hanging out like a place to be with your friends. Let's see. We also got a more look at Blighted, which had shown up in the original show. We got a little more of Consume Me, which was in Steam Next Fest, which I need to jump into because it's got so many, like, it basically swept at the GDC Awards. And everything I see from it is something I need to check out. We got a first look at Dosa Divas, a first look at Escape Academy 2, Marvel Cosmic Invasions, which I know Mike is very excited to talk about later. More look at Mixtape Moonlighter 2, a little bit of a look at Neverway, which we hadn't seen in the big showcase, but y'all, I'm excited for that. More off. Please watch the artwork was one that I'm super into. For a lot of people who know, I worked in museums for 10 years before I switched over to talking about video games. So like when those two worlds intersect, I'm always super excited to see it. I think Possessor was a big one. We saw Ratatata, Relooted, again, another museum. Like whenever Indiana Jones is like, this belongs in a museum, I'm so upset because I'm like, no, it belongs in situ and leave it the fuck alone, Indy. So like having a game where the original peoples are going to different museums and reclaiming their own artifacts for their own culture, like that's an amazing concept. Snap and Grab we saw, Sword of the Sea we saw. That's got to be checked off of the bingo card at least, if there's nothing else. We saw Tire Boy, and then we saw another show-ending Toem 2, and we actually got to go hands-on with that later. So, like, literally from front to back, there was nothing here that you couldn't love. I am absolutely, like, I loved this showcase. And it was one of the last showcases that I could actually watch all the way through because as the theme has been going, Playday starts the next day. And any showcase that's running through Playdays that I haven't seen beforehand is really hard to actually take time to see.
Yeah, you just sense it.
Yeah.
You're like, I kind of saw somebody say something online.
Indies.
That's good. And that's like the same as watching it, you know? That was like me with the Xbox showcase.
Same with Devolver right after. I was like, okay, this is a ball pit game. Cool. Yeah. Which we'll talk about later because y'all, holy hell.
And I do want to shout out a lot of the showcases, and I want to point something out too. So showcases that are directly kind of championed by Summer Game Fest include the Wholesome Direct, which was amazing. Latin American, I mean, all of these are amazing. So, but shout out to Jenny because she hosts Wholesome Direct. Latin American Game Showcase, Women-led Game Showcase, Southeast Asian Game Showcase, Black Voices in Gaming Showcase, the Frosty Games Fest, and Planet Play Green Games are all officially hosted on the Summer Game Fest YouTube channel. And I think this is more than I've ever seen. And I'm wondering how much this is, again, what we talked about with people saying, oh, you're not going to pay attention to indies once it's convenient for you not to, but also just like very little time, money, effort to get a lot of goodwill is probably the best way to put it.
I think also it's like an easy dub to have just like continuous content. I mean, I'm sure, you know, there's people that can get mad over anything, but I struggle to imagine the person who's like other than like, you know, super mega conservative grifter types, like mad that like the Frosty Games Fest is there. You know what I mean? Like it's just more content to watch. It's not like it's I'm trying to think of how to put this. Like, and you know, maybe that's also part of having that separation between like SGF show. Well, I mean, the Day of the Devs does air like right after, but it's like if you want to tune in and watch more stuff, like you can come there and see stuff. You know when the big show is, which is like the SGF live show. Anything else is kind of just gravy. There isn't an expectation that there's like nonstop content on that YouTube channel, and I feel like the people who are subscribed to it or who want to like be locked in on it probably do want all those trailers kind of thing, because if not, you just wouldn't be as locked into it. So it's like it kind of can't be bad, right? Like it's just having already, you know, authored, put together stuff. It's an easy collab. You get stuff on your calendar and everyone kind of wins, right? The people that are making these showcases can get some more visibility on them, and the sort of SGF crew or collective can get a more filled up calendar without having to put in like people power and money to make more things happen. Like, you know, it's like, oh, this is kind of our thing now too, like in a way, which, you know, it serves both sides, so it ends up kind of working. So yeah, I would be kind of shocked if this ever went away of like this kind of collaboration, just because it is like not too complicated and is sort of an easy dub for everyone involved. It makes SGF look really active when it says, look at all the things we have going on. Even though when you like squint, you're like, actually, it's just play days in the live show. It's like, yeah, but you feel like all of it was sort of me and my brand. And that kind of, you know, serves the SGF pop, because it's never really going to pop as hard as E3 did. And again, it has pros against E3 for sure, but like this helps kind of fill it and make it feel like, oh yeah, like SGF, like this summer, it's Keighley summer and we're locked in on it. But yeah, shout out to those showcases.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned kind of the E3 era, because when kids might not remember this, but the olders who remember like the E3 Keighley kind of showdown of like when both of those showcases were still going and they were kind of circling around each other. Keighley did a lot of this like claiming of things that were not necessarily made or touched by his crew. So this also has an element of that as well, of like, let's put everything together and just, this is Summer Game Fest. But yeah, it does mean that a lot of the times when I was in play days, back-to-back appointments, that like my community in the Indie Informer like Discord and things like that were talking about games that were showing up in showcases. I'm like, I haven't seen it. I'm so sorry.
Mike, you look like you have something to say, but right before you get to your point, I want to shout out that, which maybe we can put this somewhere in the feedback form. I think a really good idea for SGF would be for them to be showing some of those showcases just like on some monitors in a couple key spaces, even if it's just on a loop, just because we don't have a lot of downtime during SGF, but there's like a little bit, you know, if people need to eat, people will like sit and just do whatever. Like I think that would make a lot of sense. It doesn't seem too cost intensive just to like, hey, buy the coffee station, because there'd be like a little monitor that had that kind of stuff playing. But
or they
Mike,
could even like
say something.
They even could project it onto the walls of the media room. You know, like
I can't get into it much because I was a part of the conversations and the planning, but I will say that Keighley and his team are very up for collaboration. And I'm actually, Jenny and I are, we're the Showcase Illuminati all talk to each other and coordinate together and all are helping each other out. But yeah, it's cool to see Keighley and his team being down to throw stuff on his channel if it makes sense for Summer Game Fest. You know, obviously it's part of like, it does make him look better because it's another official Keighley showcase to promote really good indie games, and just have something active for folks at home throughout the weekend. This year was June 7th, like a little overbearing? Maybe. Is that a conversation the Illuminati are having actively? Possibly. But yeah, it's credit to the team again, just for being down to help out the smaller showcases, especially for folks like the Frosty crew, who this is their first show, the Planet Play folks as well, first show. So
yeah, and a lot of really great shows too. Like there have been like situations where when you get this many indie showcases, you're sort of seeing the same game over and over and over and over again, but you didn't get a ton of that, which was really nice, because what I did was the day after Playdays was done, when most people were like flying home, I stayed in LA in my hotel room just to watch all of these showcases back to back to back. So I really appreciate not having to watch the same trailer for the same game over and over again for like 20 hours or however long I was in that
and also
bed.
just a shout out to the people running these shows. Everybody's just so incredibly kind and talented, and like there are a lot of like imposter syndrome vibes going around for especially some of the newer shows, but like yeah, everybody's so kind and worked so damn hard to put on every single one of these. I do want to loop in also the Mix and Triple I here as well, because they've also been a part of these conversations, and we're all just kind of like starting to help each other out, and yeah, it's been a nice first effort of everybody chatting with each other and like properly coordinating. And I think in the future, again, not to do too much inside baseball, in the future you could expect not too much overlap in games either, trying to make a conscious effort of sharing lineups and avoiding conflicts where possible. Like, of course you'll see some folks popping up here and there, but yeah.
No, to talk about the Mix, we all went to that. We went because the Mix is not only a showcase that everybody gets to see, but if you are in LA, there is a hands-on kind of evening event where you can play games. It's like 5 hours of checking out different indie games, and maybe Mike will play one day, but you know,
Jill, how many did I play this time around?
You thought about playing one, so you smelled the
thought
air
about playing one
of a game. Yeah.
0. Actually, I thought about playing 2.
You thought about playing 2. I got a chance to play Fractured Blooms, which got real creepy. Got real creepy real fast.
Is that the Serenity Forge joint?
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
And that showed up at the main showcase as well, which was really
good
cool
for them.
to see.
Yeah,
for them.
Very cool.
It was really cozy until the house started disappearing and monsters started whispering in my ears and that kind of stuff. But yeah, no, the Mix is always a really, really great event, and it's a lot less play days and a lot more like a mixer type.
Yeah.
It's
also got the folding table laptop energy, just to kind of just typically because it is a more, it's not expensive like that to like show your game at the Mix, you know, in the way that it is at more like bells and whistles type of events. So it's really cool for that reason. You get some, you know, slightly deeper cuts than you might get at something. Well, you definitely get deeper cuts than you get at, you know, some of the like the larger places to show your game. And also like the LA one it's probably my favorite venue of any of the Mixes that I've been to.
Yeah, I really like the Grand Museum.
Yeah, it's in the Grand Museum. It's on the sort of like, not literally the rooftop, but it's like an open air. It might be roof when you click like the elevator, but it's like an open air spot. They have like whatever big ad is to, you know, by for what hotel that is, where they have like the 3 pillars. This year the ad was Final Fantasy / Magic the Gathering, which funnily enough they didn't finish the ad like in time for the week. I don't know what happened where they finished it on Monday.
No, that's such a good tradition.
It was Cloud and Sephiroth.
Yeah, it was Cloud.
You kind of, you kind of knew. You don't need to see their legs to
talking
know
about
to buy
the
Magic
old
the Gathering.
And like E3 tradition, the fig, which is what those are painted
That's
on.
what it is. Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, I wasn't sure.
That has been an E3 tradition forever of going, and like the first day you're there, it's like 25%, and then it gets revealed throughout the showcase. So actually, really, I don't know why I feel nostalgic for it, but when I saw it, I was like, "Oh, that's so cool."
I feel like that was the first time I didn't see it not finished. Maybe this is
They usually finish it.
Bears thing, maybe.
They usually finish it in time for like the announcement of the thing. This one, it was just like it was the Final Fantasy cards, so it was like whatever. It was announced, so it was weird that it took until Sunday night to finish.
Yeah, they were rushing to paint that thing up, but really fun. I finally played some games there because a lot of times I just talk to people there now that I'm like deeper into the industry and know a lot of people. But yeah, I played this game called Neon Inferno, which I actually really loved. I was sort of surprised that I liked it so much because it is sort of a just left to right beat 'em up type construction, which I don't dislike, but it's not my favorite genre. But they did some really cool stuff with like foreground, background. They have like parry mechanics in it. Like it's weirdly like deep and detailed. And also just like looks really nice and it's fun. I played that co-op with my colleague Jacob Geller, and then I played a little bit of Off, which I think you just mentioned, Jill, for the Day of the Devs. And maybe I played one other thing, but those were like the two that I mainly played, and then kind of just like looked at some other stations and things like that. But yeah, super cool. Definitely very, very highly encouraged if you are listening to the show and you're in the LA area to sign up. It's free to just, right? Is it free or is it like very cheap for public?
I think it's free. I think it's free.
It might be free. It's probably free. But yeah, you just kind of fill out like, I want to go. If you're in game development too, you can get like an industry pass. And if you're in press, you can get a press pass. The press pass is very easy to get. I think pretty much if you're doing anything at all, you should basically get it. So I definitely encourage people to apply for that if it's relevant.
I don't think the LA one is open to the public.
Okay.
Are you sure?
I think it's because we had a couple friends that were trying to get in that are not part of the industry or anything like that. And yeah, during like your badge pickup or whatever, it was industry or media.
Interesting.
The Seattle one is open to the public.
Open to the public. Okay.
Yes.
Because
there was confusion about that.
It is hard to tell because I definitely had to message some people like, hey, do we know how normal people get into this?
Yeah, it's a little weird, but like, a couple like 601 friends were trying to get in, but it just it didn't work out.
Maybe not.
I just want to shout out
if you do stuff, you can.
I'm sure if like
a press thing.
Yeah, social media, content creator, whatever it may be. And yeah, shout out to Neon Inferno. Played it a few years back at a Play NYC. Shit rocks. It's very good.
Mm-hmm. I also want to shout out Death Howl, which was there, and it is a very good game, which I enjoyed a lot. And also Battle Trains was up, and I'll talk more about Battle Trains as we go later in the show. But let's turn our attention to the Xbox Showcase because we have something very pertinent to talk about. But also, I loved the indies that showed up. I love that the Xbox Showcase is becoming a good place to find some really like high profile indies. So they hit us first with the Super Meat Boy 3D, and I was immediately like, thank goodness I put this man's butt right on my game for y'all, because that was timely.
Not the original creator or developer, also just a flag. I saw a TikTok of Edward Mullins? Edmund, thank you.
Yeah.
I saw a TikTok like that, like following morning of like, had no idea this was happening. A heads up would have been nice, but hey, good luck to the devs.
Yeah. That whole saga has been kind of messy and talked about. But yeah.
Looks great.
Yeah, it's worth mentioning that to that point, Team Meat, which is like the developer, actually co-developing it with somebody else as well, this game specifically, but that has not been Edmund and Tommy since like the first game. Like they made that one game 100%. Together, and then they split up. I think Team Meat still involves Tommy though, right? I think maybe.
Yeah.
Someone can Google that on the side. So like all these other games like Super Meat Boy Forever, the puzzly one, like all these other ones have just kind of been going. And Super Meat Boy has been interesting because it's weird. Like it feels a little weird, and not just like from like a creative standpoint. I don't necessarily have any, that's between them on a business tip. I don't have any additional insights, so I thus don't have any additional opinions on how that all went down. But it's weird because like the game's definitely good, but something about it, and I don't know if it is my bias of like I can't help but note that it's not like the OG team, but it's just like I don't know. I feel like there's something missing a little bit. So I'm curious how this one's going to go. I'm going to try to approach with, an open mind and open heart because, frankly, as a 3D platformer and platformer fan in general, I am desperate. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't really matter what you're making. I will play it. But yeah, like, I don't know. It's kind of... And maybe it was just one of those things where, like, I feel like indies of that era, it was such a moment in time.
Mm-hmm.
and like stuff just kind of hit differently than it does now. Like, yeah, I'm kind of intrigued is where I land with Super Meat Boy 3D. Yeah, there's something missing. There's something that feels like it's missing a little bit from Team Meat's projects.
I'm really interested in your feeling about this because I also felt looking at Super Meat Boy 3D is like this is not the same thing, but that made me more excited to play it rather than less excited because I've not traditionally been a Super Meat Boy fan, and I'm not a huge fan of some of those early 2010 type.
Just 2D, like pain in the ass platformers. I get it.
Yeah.
So
So
subgenre.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm really, really excited to play that. Then I saw on the screen, I knew immediately what it was, but I couldn't believe myself. I was gaslighting my own.
I was very
mind.
confused at first. I was like, is it not on Xbox already?
Like, what's going on here? We saw Planet of Lana 2.
I should play the first one.
You should play the first one.
Yeah, same.
I should play the first one.
I feel like it's super solid. Jill, you played it, right?
Yeah, it's super solid. Super solid is a really good way to put that because it has its technical difficulties, but as far as like art is concerned and like the way I feel when I'm playing it is concerned, yeah, it's real lovely. And speaking of the way that it looks, Planet of Lana has a very obvious like minimalistic, like bright colors kind of look to it. But seeing this trailer really kind of tripped me out because it was like the Uncanny Valley situation where I'm like, something here is not quite right. So like the original game is very like 2D, almost hand drawn. This one is very much like computery, and I can't
it's rendered
really,
in 3D, but
it is
on a 2D plane.
So it's sort of like I don't know how I don't know how I feel about that look yet. Maybe it's because I loved the look of the first one so much. But we'll see. Maybe that will make the technical things a little easier. Maybe it'll make the platforming and things that you have to do in the game that much easier to read. But yeah, very, very excited for that to kick off. And then my top, like, the let's go
Also
moment.
Unexpected.
Yeah, At Fate's End by the Spiritfarer devs. Also doing 33 Immortals.
Do they have multiple teams at this point?
I think so. I think they are they're definitely working on multiple things at the same time.
Well,
so
yeah.
There's enough people to kind of back that. I don't know what At Fate's End is going to be about, but it looked gorgeous. It looked like provocative. So I was super, super excited. And then, Janet.
I just want to read the description of it because I
think
it gets at a lot of the interesting components on Steam. At Fate's End is an action adventure game where you fight the ones you love, and your skill tree is your family tree. Okay, hell yeah, let's go.
Cool.
Like some family trauma. You stop
Mhm.
selling, you sold me. Explore a lush fantasy world. Defeat the foul creatures of the realm and face your estranged siblings in intense emotional duels to decide your family's fate. So it's the year of the family dramas, you know, in video games. And it's about time we sit at the table and just fight each other.
Yeah. You sit down at Thanksgiving, you pick up that turkey, and you just wallop someone in the head, you know?
Yeah, but it seems like a really cool conceit to integrate that element of narrative into gameplay. I'm also just a big fan of like us trying to expand the ways that narrative can be integrated within a game. And it sounds like, I don't know how successful they'll be, we'll see. But the idea of integrating that within a skill tree seems like a fun, cool, different thing to be doing. So it's exciting.
Yeah. And it's just got this, I want to show, boop. No, I did too early. Hold on. I'm sharing my screen, or I'm trying to. I have it somewhere. There we go. Share. It's just got this really beautiful art style to it as well, where it's I'm such a sucker for this kind of hand-drawn aesthetic. Like,
yeah, it's like flat illustration, like flat detailed illustration kind of
like nice construction paper, you know?
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, it gives like pristine children's book is kind of the art that I think of for this. Like, you ever open a kid's book where it's like they're going ham for no reason in there? It's like, that's kind of the feeling that it has.
And then we also got an announcement for Invincible Versus, which is a big fighting game for, based on the show. And just as like a sort of tidbit for people understanding what I was going through during the showcase, I had previously, before Mike knows what I'm about to say because I've already had this discussion with him, but before Summer Game Fest, you set up all your appointments and you get ready, and in some cases you set up appointments for things you do not know what you're going to be playing.
Yes.
And Xbox sent me one of those, and so I was like, okay, I know that I have an appointment for one Xbox indie, so I'm watching this showcase like, what's it gonna be? And I'm watching all these bangers come through and I'm ready. And then the morning of the appointment, they send it, and I'm going to be playing Invincible Versus, which
Jill Grote, renowned 2D
fighting
fan.
game. Yeah. So I had that moment of like, dang, Super Meat Boy Planet of Lana 2 at Fate's End I could have been playing, but I went into my Invincible appointment and I had a fantastic time with this game. It's brutal, it's bloody, it's got destruction everywhere, and I was doing okay. Like, as someone who's not a huge fighting person, to be able to, like, I think I ended up in a draw with the developer I was playing with. Whether or not they were being nice to me, I don't know, because they did seem genuinely like, oh no, when they lost, so like, I don't know, maybe they're really good actor.
Because
no, it was better than that. But like, I felt okay, but it was really
shout out to the Xbox team, the people that work there.
Oh yeah,
shout out. However, I'm telling you, Jill, these mysteries are a scam. Like, they be scamming on these mysteries. Like,
I love
it.
It
worked out for Capcom.
I've been satisfied by one mystery. Yeah. Well, but Capcom, I mean, they had, I'm guessing the people that got to go hands on with RE9 were told that it was RE9 because there was only like 3 outlets.
There was clearly 2 types of Capcom emails that went out. I got the hands-off presentation one.
Yeah, me too. Same as these.
No, but Janet, you can't say that though, because Blighted was the secret. Escape Academy 2.
It was, but I think I believe Blighted did. I think they did tell you what the studio was, though.
It was at least Untitled Drinkbox game.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with Untitled from studio when it's like unknown from unknown. I was like, why? Or the like when they were like, unknown but a known IP. It was Lego Party. Come on, y'all.
I would say the
no shit. People say they like Lego Party.
One,
so
the Soft Rains one worked out. I think.
Yeah,
I always forget the name of the game.
It's Ambrosia Sky, and I want to talk about that one later.
It's very good. Yeah.
New contributor to the Indie Informer, Peter. That was the first game.
Welcome, Peter.
Lego Party was the first game he wanted to write about, and I was like, okay, let's go. If that's what you're excited for.
Which is it indie Lego Party? I didn't check the studio or anything.
It is. Okay. I did look through it, and I was like,
shout out to you, Lego Party.
Shout out to you, Lego Party. Mike is still not believing. He's gonna go look it up and be like, I
was kind of bummed the Annapurna Lego game wasn't playable.
Yeah.
Out of the 2 Lego games.
That's like the one that I also am.
That's the one.
Yeah.
I've heard Lego Party's very fun, but
people said it was cool. I didn't get a chance to play it because I didn't take the mystery bait, and I honestly I'm okay with that. Like, I was all right. That's fine.
But as far as like games we did play, I know Mike and I did a quick and dirty, like, how do we feel in the moment while we were still at Summer Game Fest. Have those changed at all for you, Mike?
No. Quick little plug: throughout the weeks, I've been slowly getting written pieces up on 6windie.com. I think I have 4 at the moment. So like, as I'm kind of continuing to like reflect and digest the experiences, I know you mentioned we'll talk about the Soft Rains game in a little bit. I think that was like one of the biggest surprises of the show. I didn't go hands-on with it. I was sitting next to Kyle as he was playing because he's a power washing sicko, but I think that is such a fascinating concept, and the tech behind that game is really interesting and really impressive.
Let's go ahead and dive into it, because I'm going to talk about it as part of this.
Go for it.
Like, Ambrosia Sky, which has a demo up right now, I believe.
It has a demo. Yeah.
I
think it's the same demo that we played at
Playdays, yeah.
I think.
As far as I know, yes.
Maybe we had an extra level. I don't know, but
I did see, yeah, I got scooted up ahead a little bit.
Same.
It was one of those things where you really didn't know what you were sitting down to play, and it's one of the reasons why I had such a hard time picking some of my favorite games of this Summer Game Fest, because it came out of, I love an experience where it comes out of nowhere and it really hits you and you're like, dang, I should have like somehow known more about this, but now that I do, I'm walking away from this surprise and pleasantly surprised to have liked it as much as I did. It's got so much like heart and thoughtfulness and sort of a melancholic, like returning to your hometown and things are not well and you've obviously got like a troubled past with it, and your job is to be this like, it's basically like a space coroner, but you're like a witch, like, which was a great pitch, by the way. um and you are there to like bring peace and the final resting ceremony to people who have died. And in this case, in Ambrosia Sky, there is some sort of mysterious ravage of disease that is happening in your home planet, in your home like town. So you're trying to like go through and you're having memories of these people who as they were, but you're looking at them like essentially zombified, like, and being like, wow, this is really impactful and really emotional. But the gameplay itself is really, really interesting because you mentioned, um, I want to say spray paint simulator, but it's power wash simulator. Because the whole gameplay is kind of played with a gun that shoots water, electricity, like all kinds of different elements, fire. And you get to choose your nozzle and how it like sprays up and down. So you're kind of cleaning everything around you or like burning it or electrifying it. So that's the play of it, is going through and not like bang bang shooting, but like cleansing, which is a really cool concept. But also at one point, it's all very sci-fi. It's all kind of creepy. It's got a lot of tension to it. At one point, you actually activate like zero gravity, so you're floating around, and you've got like a grappling hook that you're using to get to different places and to solve environmental puzzles that help you get through this blocked door or whatever. That was really well. It's all really well made and really satisfying feeling and really interesting.
Yeah, and the dev was discussing how everything is completely simulated. Like it is an immersive sim in the sense that like you connect light bulb to thing that needs to be electrified and it just works.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's just all things that are being simulated in game in engine. It is so impressive. It is so goddamn impressive, and it's not something I expected. Because like I think the pitch we got was like first person sci-fi game, or at least that was on the website, I think. So I didn't know what to expect, and like I think we got some like the pedigree from some of the members of the team. Like it was very much Fallout and a lot of the like Bethesda RPGs, like Bethesda folks. So I expected a Starfield like experience, but yeah, it completely blew me away. The tech is so impressive. I went hands on very briefly while Kyle was playing. I picked it up on Steam Deck. It runs very impressive on Steam Deck. Yeah, it's great. I wasn't expecting like gone home in space with power wash.
Yeah. That's a really good pitch for it, Mike.
I played this one as well. This is a game it sounds like I would like. In practice, I found it to be a little bit inscrutable in terms of determining what was going on in the environment. I wanted, I think, a little bit more context about what I was like looking at. I did like the idea of, you stumble across these bodies and you like get to know sort of like what happened to them. You're almost like a grief cleaner in that sense. But yeah, like I didn't get a strong sense of like environmental place. And granted, you are kind of like going onto the ship, but I think if you think of like, comparison touch points like Dead Space, even though it is still just like a ship, like the Oshimura feels like such a place. And I think the cleaning, the cleaning feels a little undercut by the mechanical act of like using the sim stuff to like interact with like the doors in the environment. And there was like a part where you had to like run back to the beginning. Like I just wasn't, I feel like they didn't, like it wasn't as cleaning oriented as I think I thought it would be, because I'm a big fan of cleaning in games. It felt a little bit more like you happen to clean than it was like a cleaning game. I think also the sort of environmental, there aren't really enemies, but there's hazards. The hazards also felt a little at odds with like the cozy vibes of the cleaning. So yeah, this one hit kind of funny for me. I don't know what I'm gonna do with this one, but I didn't dislike it, but it didn't grab me in the way that I hoped. I will say, to your point, Mike, shout out to like the physics system they've implemented, where it's like very, detailed, where you like break something underneath and it like falls from the top. But yeah, I felt like it was a little visually overwhelming for me, and I wondered if that was just like they start you off like in the second level, but I thought I was started off like deep into the game. Like, how deep into the game is this? This is like the second thing you do. I was like, this is a lot to take in for like just getting going. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But I wasn't as taken by it as I think the two of you were.
I think the key thing I picked up there, it's definitely not a cleaning game, but it has mechanics that are borrowed from Power Wash.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, I think that's a kind of an important distinction.
I think the other game that I connected it to the most was Revenge of the Savage Planet, because it has a very similar like mechanic of like your guns are not like pew pew shooty, but like you can get electricity across from one place to another, or fire. So yeah, I think maybe I was benefited by the fact that I didn't know what I was going into, so I wasn't disappointed that it wasn't a cleaning game, because I didn't know it was going to be anything like that.
Yeah.
When I walked into it.
It also like made its reveal debut while we were at Playdays when PC Game Show was happening.
Literally, the person we sat down and the dev was like, "Oh, did you see the showcase reveal?" And I was like, "I've been here, sir. I'm sorry. I'm sitting on
like, you think we have time to watch these things?"
Also, Mouse PI was like blaring next door. Like, it was so loud.
Oh, it was so loud. Okay.
But yeah, to go back to if any thoughts or whatever changed, I think I solidified that my game of the show is Luminous Arise. And I think you kind of could pick that up in our previous conversation. We were at Playdays recording there. But I have not been able to stop thinking about Luminous Arise.
Yeah.
It's I think what firmly cemented it, where it was more than just another Lumines game, and similar to how Tetris Effect is more than just another Tetris game.
Yeah.
I downloaded Lumines Remastered on my Switch 2, and man, it just was not working for me. I was just like, I was very over it very quickly. I was just hankering for that the developer name, that enhanced touch and that enhanced care that they just something I wrote in my preview, because I ended up writing a preview for it. It's like they just know how to, like, as cliche as it sounds or whatever, they just know how to fucking connect to like the player's soul through the controller, through the visuals, through the audio. It's so impressive what that game is doing, and I cannot wait for more.
Yeah,
nice. I could do some quick highlights because I missed the on the floor.
Yeah, go for your highlights, Janet. What did you like?
I did not abandon you. I had to work with the other people that were.
She was there the whole time. She was behind us.
So, you chose others over us.
Hey, who's cutting the check? You know what I mean? Like, I go where the money takes me. All right. Yeah. So make me an offer, Mike. We'll talk offline. But okay. So
3
Moonlighter
goldfish
2,
crackers.
9. Okay. Anyway, Moonlighter 2. Seems cool. I didn't actually play much of Moonlighter 1, but I like the idea of you're kind of gathering. It's like, gather items for your shop. I like that when you're picking up those items in your runs, they can like interact with other things in the inventory system. So there was one I picked up where it's like anything you place to the right of it will burn. And you're like, well, why would that be good? And then you pick up right after that. It's like burning things gets you money. And it's like, oh, that's a fun little system. Only gripe on that one was the base attack felt like a little stiff to me. Like, I wish the combat was a little snappier, but I'm definitely intrigued by what I played. Dosa Divas from the people that made Thirsty Suitors. I'm not sure where I'll land on this one either, but it definitely did feel like a step up from Thirsty Suitors, which it feels like the team feels like it's also a step from Thirsty Suitors. Like, a lot of the conversation I had with the developer was talking about like taking the learnings from Thirsty Suitors and really building on that. And I like felt that in the game. Whether or not that's enough, we'll know that when the game comes out. But yeah, just kind of having a tighter package. Like the term they used was genre comfort, like creating more genre comfort within the game. While like they talked about in Thirsty Suitors, they're like the skateboarding. Some people were like, I'm not really good at this. / I don't really think it feels that great, or I don't like it, or it's not what I kind of came. Just as one example of a way that they maybe felt like it didn't end up totally working out for like what they wanted players to be experiencing. But yeah, you're like cooking stuff. The cooking minigame stuff is cool. Still that kind of turn-based combat with QTEs. Toem 2, fire. It's like a boring take because Toem 1's fire.
Right.
But Toem 2 was in a non-shade way, like, because you play so many games at an event like this that it's like, okay, you just in and out of tutorials, like it's really a lot to take in. And Toem 2 felt like, wow, you guys are really, really good at like nailing kind of everything. The sound design's fantastic. The vibes are good. The little quests are cute. Again, it's still a game, right? So maybe some people aren't into the little questy photo gameplay of Toem as a franchise. But if you are, I feel like this is like a very tight, like well-made title.
I do want to talk a little bit about Toem 2.
Yeah, go for it.
Being just like, that's another one of it made it hard to pick my favorite game of SGF this year, because it was a situation where like you went in and it was Toem more. It was just as comforting, just as lovely, just as like I wanted to keep playing when the demo was over. So it is really hard to say like I expected this to be great. It was as great as I expected, and this is my game of the show. Like that's really, really hard to do because you didn't have any like surprises, but it is just so, so, so good. And Janet, we talked about this on our on-site podcast, but like that riddle, right? Like,
oh yeah,
I love the devs literally like looked at me like I'd grown a third head because I immediately picked the right answer for that riddle. And
Janet?
no one
I failed the riddle.
Thank you. How many times have you failed it? Because I need to make sure we're aligned here.
I failed it at least like 2 times, and I think he just told me
Thank
the
you.
answer at the end afterwards.
Thank you.
I'm
Okay.
pretty sure. And literally, like as I was walking away, I was like, it's not that deep of a riddle. It's a very common riddle. It's just that I don't have riddle background. The riddle was the like you.
Oh wait! Don't say. Because we want like, the audience to experience it so that they can see whether or not the riddle is something.
I'll just say it's a riddle.
It's the one in the fantasy world. I don't know how many riddles are going to be in the game, so it's a very basic riddle. I just never heard it before.
It's a riddle my brain can't process at 10:30 a.m. after a long flight.
But what's funny about the riddle
freehand hotel
is that because I was like, why can't my answer be right? It's like what I said to the developer. Why did I tell them this? I don't know. And they were like, well, it like just kind of isn't, And when I left, literally like 4 minutes after I left, I was like, oh, because if my thing was right, it would mean this other thing. Like, so I did eventually figure it out. But yes, I am dumb. I also have no memory retention. So there's a mini a quest where it's you have like a kind of like a statue, and they're like, make this on like a new block.
I didn't even attempt it.
I did for a second and then walked away.
I was like, nope.
I was like looking back and forth. It was I think the developer really got to know a lot about me, and I wish that they had to go to the like, you shouldn't have to use the bathroom or something while I'm playing, because I don't think I want you to see that. Yeah, I did play Toem 1. Doesn't help me with Toem 2. I'm still stupid, but I like your game a lot.
I had one also where I in hindsight, I'm surprised they didn't kick me off the station, where there is a light spoiler, whatever. There's a quest where you have to show a character like find their donkey. I think that's the quest. I kept taking pictures of goats and going back to show them the goats. And I was like, how is this not this person's donkey? Even though it clearly says when you take the picture, goat. And like, it didn't take me until like 3 hours after the appointment. I was like, damn, that was the wrong animal, huh?
That's not even that's a whole different animal.
The NPC is like, why does this guy keep showing me pictures of goats?
Yeah.
Hilarious.
Yeah, it's really good. The whole kind of shtick here is, I mean, it's similar to Toem 1, but it's been so long since I played Toem 1, I kind of only vaguely remembered the mechanical progression construction, but it is like you get a new tool kind of with each little world, and each little world is based on different themes. So like the one that we did was kind of medieval fantasy theme. And yeah, looking forward to it. I think the thing that really sets Tome apart is there's a lot of creativity in the checklist quest structure. This is like a mechanical structure that's been really popular, especially in the indie scene for a number of years. You know, Untitled Goose Game, Little Kitty Big City, like this idea of having like a space and you have things you need to do within that space. I think Toem sets itself apart by making tighter, more bespoke quests within that structure and also playing in more spaces. And I think the result is like super fun. Yeah, Toem 2, that was definitely one of my favorites of the show, even though it's kind of a boring take. Another boring take, Escape Academy 2. More Woo! Escape Academy. Love Escape Academy 1. Negative shout out to whoever had the same appointment as me because you didn't show up. Hopefully nothing bad happened to you, because obviously, yeah, there's always that fear. But if nothing bad was happening to you, you left me out to dry. I had to play that demo alone. Didn't have my ringer, Isaiah, to help solve things with me. It was just me, the dev, and my own stupidity, just hanging out on the sofa. And so negative shout out to you, but I did really enjoy it. They're sort of adding more of the school campus feel to the game, which was missing in the first one. But other than that, it's more Escape Academy. I personally love Escape Academy, and I'm sure we'll talk
shout out to
about
Kyle
that when it comes out.
for carrying me throughout that demo.
Yeah. Every dumb needs a bud. Like everyone, like why was I left unattended in Escape Academy 1?
I solved a couple by myself.
I was solving stuff. I was definitely solving stuff.
Yeah.
And that's the thing
I unlocked those books,
as well.
those textbooks.
Yes. That's the thing I like about Escape Academy as well. I think it's very like dumb friendly in that like they're pretty like simple puzzles. It's a lot about like observing. Again, it's like an escape room style. So it's more about like observing an environment and putting together like pretty simple things that I still sometimes struggle with than it is like, this is not Lorelai and the Laser Eyes. This is Escape Academy. Like it's
I was going to say,
vibes.
it's just like Lorelai and the Laser Eyes.
No, it's not. No, it is not. It's like Lorelai in the sense that you walk, Jill. That's the only thing.
You observe and you put the pieces together. You can do it.
Blighted from Drinkbox.
Yep.
I will definitely be playing that when it comes out because it is a co-op game. I will say the second I sat down, they said, "Are you familiar with Souls games?" I said, "Are you familiar with me? Because I shouldn't be here if you're asking me this question." Yeah, it's a little. It has that like sluggish crunch that Souls often has. It's just sort of a little too early for me to really give like a big take on it. I wasn't obsessed with it in the way that I think Nobody Saves the World grabbed me, but they're also very different games. So I'm excited to play the full thing and see what I think of it. Almost done here, scrolling through my past my AAA titles that I played. Grave Seasons, spooky farming game. It's the season for it because what was, Jill, the one you played also spooky farming? The one from Serenity Forge?
Oh, Fractured Blooms. Yeah.
Fractured Blooms.
Got a lot of that.
This is cool in that you're looking for like a supernatural serial killer, and I believe the person that it is kind of different every time, so it has a lot of replayability baked into it. It has funky stuff like you break into people's houses, and if you get caught, drama might go down. It seems like there's a lot of dialogue put into the game in terms of talking to NPCs. There's like a romance gifting structure, and the art looks really good. And also, just shouts to the team for putting together a really good demo. It is really hard to demo farming sims, like RPGs, to some degree story games, because they just require more time to usually take away much from it, but they actually cut a thing specific for the demo. They're like, this is not, it's obviously the game, but like, you will not play the sequence in the game. This is something we made for the demo so that you could see, here's what some of the farming looks like. Here's what some of the scary stuff looks like. So mine kind of culminated in this like big monster in the woods kind of vibe. Ooh, what's going on? There's blood streaked on the ground kind of thing. Yeah, I was super intrigued by it. I am excited by the idea of having a farming game that has a more ending-based narrative through line. Nothing wrong with like games where you don't have that. That's why a lot of people come to farming sims. I have like 500 hours in Animal Crossing. I wasn't doing anything there except not finishing my island. You know, we lost like funding halfway through the project. Yeah. Fields at least I think does have a little bit more at least it has that like mystery of like what's going on with like the dragon statue. But obviously that's going to end at a certain point. Like at a certain point, you got to figure it out, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited about that idea. And is that the end? I'm scrolling through.
Well, I want to touch on
that might be all I have,
because that was one of my top games as well.
I have 2 left after that.
It was one of those games where I went in and I'm like, I've seen it. I am interested enough to go check it out, but I left after playing it so much more interested in it than I had been going into it. I think they do like they start out with like such great like oh, this isn't what I was expecting, because they kind of start you off by letting you know like, oh, you're in prison, you've just gotten out of prison, the only thing you have is a crowbar. And we're like, whoa, this is a great take on the trope of like why you're starting this new life, you know. So you sit down and you think like, what would cause people to like start a new life and move into a farm? And the fact that that take is just like, you have perhaps escaped from prison and you're trying to like lie low, so that's why you're starting a new farm life. That was really great. And then they lull you like you can tell this game is amazing because of how well they do introducing the farm, introducing your community, introducing like all the cooking mechanics and all the things that are like cozy and you want to play, that you forget that that's what happened, that you forget that there's like that weirdness in the beginning, and you just kind of get into that like little groove of like, okay, I'm gonna pick my flowers, I'm picking up trash, and this is great. Until, like Janet said, you get to the end where you're walking in the woods and it's not okay anymore, and you're not okay anymore. And it's just like, that was an excellent way to do it. So yeah, Grave Season's definitely one of my games of the show.
Yeah, Bloomhouse published game as well. Bloomhouse Games published game. And I think the other thing I want to mention with Grave Seasons is, and we'll see how this plays out like in practice, but something that's really cool about it is that it's a little bit more, again, of a through line with like the farming and the narrative, where like one of the things on the Steam page says, discover and craft precious items to ward off against whatever is stalking the town. Is down to your investigation skills to identify the next victim and save more blood from being spilled. So it's like a lot of, presumably the kind of pitch is that everything you do is going to like play a role in this. So it's like, not literally, this is a fake example, but it's like, what'd you choose to grow? Was it tomatoes? Guess Susie has to die. Like, obviously, I'm sure it will be like a lot more tactfully done than that. But it has like this really like thorough, presumably it's pitching this really thorough integration. The people also seem like pretty hot.
Yeah,
you know, it's the classic kind of like Fields of Mystery hotness. Like, if you find those characters hot, you'll probably find these characters hot. They're not 1-to-1, but they have like kind of similar vibes. Also in that, like, you know, visual novel core, Dream Daddy. Shout out to Dream Daddy for figuring out, for determining what like a flat drawing looks like if it's hot. I feel like they kind of put that on the map a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I this is like towards the top of my list, and I want to go on record to start the campaign against people who are trying to say, another horror farming sim. Sorry, we have 9 million Souls-like and 9 million roguelike games and 9 million card games, and look, I don't cry as loudly when I cry about it, okay? Let's all have some decorum a little bit here. But yeah, I mean, this is a really like big thing happening in the cozy game space, which is like this integration of horror that we've seen with like many games, Cults of Lamb being one of the popular ones to sort of put that ideology a bit on the map for mainstream. But yeah, this is cool. It's fun. It's a different thing. I'm excited about it, and I think there's reasons to be excited for it. So I do want to encourage people that maybe, I think, saw this especially in the context of seeing it against God damn it, Joe, what was the you just said Crystal? The name of the game? Is it the Serenity Forge one?
The Serenity Forge game.
Fractured Blooms.
Bloom. And like, I feel like sometimes people will see two horror farming games and say, oh my god, another one. Relax, 2 is not 200. They can both exist and be interesting and doing different things. They seem like they're very differently stylized as well.
Yes.
So
and shout out to the team, Perfect Garbage, Red Strings Club, writer of Demon. Oh my God, what's the
School
game coming out? Demon School. Thank you. Yeah, same writer.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
that's really, I'm excited about Demon School as well. So yeah, this was definitely up there, and my last two are what was the Snap and Grab? I played that at
Snap and Grab.
Annapurna.
Snap and Grab would be a very different game.
Snap and Grab. It's you take pictures of stuff and you kind of use that to like queue up a heist. It's like it feels very much like The Sims meets Hitman is sort of the flavoring. This one's a little bit odd for me because I feel like the pitch is definitely compelling. The demo itself didn't really grab me, but I also wonder if part of that was the context of it being a demo. I think this is a game that might play a little bit more fun when you have like a bit more time and freedom to individually experiment and get to know the place. I think the sake of trying to like show like, hey, here's what the game is, which I'm not like, that's kind of one of the points of the demo. So I don't think they necessarily should have constructed it differently, but being kind of handheld through it, it's like, this seems okay. But I wonder if playing on my own might feel a little bit more exciting when I'm sort of diverging from that path. I don't know if y'all have additional Snap and Grab thoughts or if you already kind of, have had your fill of the chat. But I have that in the statement that I'm done.
I forgot what we talked about in LA, Jill, but I think this is also secretly a very fun co-op game. Me and Kyle played it together. Kyle had the sticks, and then we were just kind of like theorizing and working things out together. And I think this is such a killer couch co-op experience. And yeah, I think my opinions were swayed a little bit because of that. And yeah, I think going into it, I was like, oh, it's not really my kind of jam. Like I like Hitman a little bit. Obviously, I like Pokemon Snap, so I'll snap some pictures and whatnot. But like, I don't know if this is gonna click for me, but playing it along with Kyle, it was a blast trying to work things out together. I really appreciate the, granted not die, but the die and try again nature of like you just keep on trying and trying. There's no real consequences.
Yeah, I do like
if
that.
If there was like, if it would be a very different story if it was like you try a scenario and then like you have to. There's like a fail state and you have to reset the level. There's a long loading screen, but the fact that it's snappy, you keep trying and experimenting.
That's
a huge benefit.
But yeah, you're taking pictures and you're putting them kind of on a little timeline. Then you hit run and you kind of like simulate it. For people that are just listening, Jill, I don't know if you had Snap and Grab takes to throw out there again.
Yeah, no, I'm much more on the Janet side of things, but I think also there is some, like this was obviously kind of an early build. There were things that were not fully prepared as we were playing through. So yeah, I kind of want to reserve my thoughts on it until we get to check out maybe a fuller experience of it.
Yeah, my last SGF thing is Mixtape, which was my game of the show. That's counting AAA, that's counting everything, frankly. Mixtape, like so much has been like I've gone through so much this year, guys, with these narrative games, and I've been tired. I went to Life is Strange, I got burned there. I went to Bloom and Rage, kind of got burned there too. Not done getting burned, gotta finish it still. And Mixtape, I said I'm ready to be heard again because I'm always ready to be heard. If you stay ready, you don't gotta get ready. And then another negative fun fact going against this game is Beethoven and Dinosaur. They're the developers of The Artful Escape, which frankly I did not like. The Artful Escape, I thought it was very pretty. I didn't really enjoy playing it. I didn't really like the music integration of it, like as a rhythm game. So, but I said, you know what?
Whoa, Janet, it's not a rhythm game. It's just an adventure game with some buttons.
A walkie.
It's just a walkie with some buttons. Let's not pretend.
I feel like it did pretend though, and that's my beef with it. Like I feel like it. I did not care for Artful Escape. Obviously, it has its fans, of course, but some of which may be on this call. Show yourself now, or for our whole piece. But Mixtape, it hit so much harder than I was expecting it to, and everyone was coming up to me throughout the show, being like, "Oh my god, Mixtape's really good." And I was like, "We'll see." And then I was like, "Hey, Mixtape's really good." Turns out everyone at the show knew what they were talking about with Mixtape. It was, I think, the thing for me that is making this feel like a special game is so many of these games, popularized by Life is Strange. The licensed soundtrack is often used to bolster scenes and kind of add an additional emotional weight to these scenes. Mixtape is unique in that the songs are not necessarily bolstering the weight of the scene. The scenes are about the song and the songs are about the scenes. They're completely integrated. So you kind of have like this, the demo was like these little vignettes of different things happening. One is like you're skating down the street and there's music playing. There's like one where it's like a house party and you like put your friend in the shopping cart and you like run away from the cops and there's music playing. And the sort of just the holistic experience, like the fantastical visuals that are integrated at key moments, the really creative gameplay mechanics where they literally have you simulating a first French kiss, and it looks really disgusting and it feels gross and it's meant to feel that way, and it like puts you there. Like, this did such a great job at nailing all those things. And again, the thing I'm always talking about with narrative games is like pushing back against the narrative on narrative games, which is that they're like, oh, it's like barely even a game. Like, can't this be a movie? It's like, no, there's like so many integrations that make these things video games specifically. And stuff like moving the camera around when you can do the optional headbang, and then also making it so that you're like tapping on the outside. Like, I know that might sound really like
so good,
small and trivial to maybe people who aren't as into this style of the game, but like those things help make the experience a standout in what, you know, as time goes on, this landscape gets more and more crowded. We've seen more and more of these takes. And for this to feel fresh after everything that's come before is like so hard to do, and also not necessarily necessary either, right? I don't think every game that exists needs to be like the freshest thing in the world. It just needs to execute what it's trying to do. I think this is doing both in a way that really surprised and impressed me. Now, this could totally be like banger demo fine game. I'm aware that could happen, but as it stands, I am really thrilled to get to play this when it comes out, and it is fixing to be a high competitor for like my game of the year. Though granted, Clair Obscur, like, combat is probably too good for anything to dethrone it, but I was like really moved by this. Part of me was like, maybe I'm also just a little bit tired. It was the last thing I played, and I'm like, this meant a lot to me. It's like I'm also kind of a little tired, but it was genuinely really, really great. Please don't hurt me, mixtape. I love you.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the ones that was talk of the show for real.
Yeah, and I felt FOMO at the show because I purposely didn't book an appointment. Well, I had an appointment booked, but I overlapped with Lumines to sneak in, and I was like, I kind of know what I'm getting into with mixtape. I'm in. I don't need to be spoiled. Man, I fucked up.
Yep, that was a mistake.
Granted, Lumines game of the show for me, so it's fine. It worked out.
Yeah, it's fine.
While we're here in Playdays land, should I talk about Marvel here?
Yeah, go for
it. Yeah, so one of the weird embargoes, I'm just gonna keep it in back. There it is. Okay. One of the weird embargoes, Marvel Cosmic Invasion, I got to play it at Playdays, but the embargo just lifted today by the time we're recording this. This is from Tribute Games and Dotemu. These are the folks behind TMNT Shredder's Revenge. Going into this, even upon announcement, I was like, cool, it's the Shredder's Revenge folks doing another beat 'em up, but now Marvel. Great. Probably similar mechanics and great. Awesome. This is so much more than just a reskin or just like playing it safe. Just taking the base beat 'em up mechanics into effect, it is so much smoother and fluid than what Shredder's Revenge was doing. And I think that's a credit
wish
to
list it. Tabbing over now.
That's kind of a credit to them, like really digging into the history of the old school Marvel games. Like I mentioned, one of the oh my god, I'm blanking on the name right now, but X-Men Atom of something. Very much nostalgic. Yes, I think so. Very nostalgic of those kind of like old school arcade games that were very much in line with the Marvel license that felt, they like, even back in the day, they felt a little different than the TMNT games. So credit to them for respecting the history of the old school arcade games. But what really impressed me the most, and something I didn't expect, I think like there is a mechanic and there's a game that is synonymous with these old school Marvel games, which obviously is Marvel vs. Capcom 2. And that tag system is so renowned and tied to the Marvel license, in my opinion. And they somehow took that mechanic and adapted it into this game, and it works so incredibly well in a beat 'em up, with a beat 'em up like kind of color palette, if you want to call it that. Like I very much quickly fell into the rhythm of like launching a bad guy as Wolverine and tapping the bumper to call Spidey in to swing and do like a bonus attack to hit another combo. Like it very much felt like I was playing MVC2 again in the streets, taking fools down, just wiping the fucking floor. You know what I'm saying, Jill?
Yeah, of course.
So it's really, I love that. And I was talking to the dev about this. Like, I love that, you know, we just got the announcement of, oh God, I forgot the name of it, but the tag Marvel fighting game that just got announced at State of Play. And this, like, two developers that are taking that core tag mechanic, but doing something completely different from one another, but still holding that core spirit that is so nostalgic and so beloved and doing it justice. It's so impressive. Yeah, one of my favorites of Playdays for sure. Really can't wait for this. The developer did say that we will be playing it during our holiday break, so I am very excited to spend my holiday just cruising through this narrative, cruising through the arcade mode. Had a blast with it. I have a full piece up on 620.com if you want the full breakdown, impressions, whole 9 yards. This is a classic thing where we got the embargo reminder yesterday. I was like, shit, I need to write something. And God bless the brain was working well in my favor. I knocked out that piece in like 10 minutes.
Speaking of knocking things out in 10 minutes, let's combine games we've been playing with the Steam Next Fest, because that's what a lot of us have been playing.
Sure.
I'm just going to go through and
I can probably go till like 5:15, by the way, Inside Baseball, just because it's not that far away from me.
Okay. So my top 3, I'm just going to shout out, were Absolum, Discounty, and Baseless. I got to play all 3 of these for stream, and it was a lot of fun. Absolum was at Playdays, and I had not made an appointment, so I was really glad I got to play this. And it is strangely, it's a beat 'em up, but it's like fantasy medieval coded beat 'em up, which I'm like, okay, let's go. Really a lot of fun, and I'm so glad I got to check that out. Discounty is kind of a life sim, shop sim that I've been watching for a long time. I was somewhat taken aback by how shop simulator it is, because it's like people are coming in, you're trying to do the like calculations on how much their stuff is worth, making them pay, run to the back, make sure all of the things are stocked at the same time. If you put a aquarium next to the seafood's going to be selling more. So, and you're trying to do that. So like a lot of that was a lot of fun. But there's also like some like community, making friends, befriending people. There's something going down with the bad corporation that you need to figure out as well. So you've got a lot of those really cool elements that come together. Baseless, I got to play. It's from First Break Labs is the publisher. So I got to play that at like GDC, but having a little bit more time to relax and it's one of those games that it's silly. It's got like really beautiful, simplistic, but also like bright colors and everything. You are propelled essentially via a gun. You're in space, so when you shoot in one direction, you go in the other direction. And also you are trying to shoot people at the same time, so that's always a fun mechanic to see. So those were my top. Janet, what were your top games?
As I add more
as you add
to
them.
the list. Yeah, I did a stream with Chia over at Remap of Nexus games. So I played some myself, and then they also were playing a couple. So I'm going to kind of lightly shout out some of the ones they played. Technically, I wasn't hands-on for those, but like I watched it, I gamed with my eyes for some of those. Ones I had hands-on time with that I really liked, Windswept. This is a very much me video game. It is a kind of like buddy platformer. You play as Marbles and Checkers, and Marbles is a cute little duck, and Checkers is a cute little turtle. And y'all are buds, and you're out here platforming. I think it's a nice in between of it's the kind of platforming where you have to like pay a little bit of attention, but it's not like wildly difficult. At least in that early couple sessions, it's kind of in that like Donkey Kong vein of 2D platforming. And there's even a couple of things that were like lightly borrowed from Donkey Kong, things like respawning in the bubble. It's like that's very Donkey Kong. Having like optional side areas where you can like get stuff and then come back in. It does have the difficult tag, but it didn't seem too hard from what I played. But it's got some really fun, funky, old school like ideas where back in the day with platformers, people were like, what if we just started doing funky stuff? And then time went on and they're like, we don't make these games anymore. And I got sad. But this has like stuff where you can like flip positioning and have different like ones in front, and you can like throw each other. So there's like some funky mechanics to go around with it. And I thought it controls really well. So if you like platformers, I think Windswept is like a must to watch out for from Weatherfall, the team over at Weatherfall. And then another one that was a little bit trying to like expand my horizons a little bit. Flickshock Rogues really impressed me. This is a like roguelite turn-based strategy game. But before you leave, because I usually don't play those games, it is like you're kind of flicking little pieces on a board is sort of like the mechanical setup. So it kind of reminds me a bit of like, what if you made Pinball Wizard from Apple Arcade like turn-based? It kind of has like a little bit of that energy where you're like ricocheting and you're changing out the pieces. The art is like absolutely incredible, such a vibe. It's also like just very cohesive in the like the map design, the UI, like everything gives this like piratey paper like map drawn bespoke look to it. Looks like the demo's still up too, so definitely worth checking out. Seems super simple. I'm sure things advance as like the board gets more full and your abilities get more complex, but that one was really cool.
Was this in Wholesome?
Ooh,
I feel like it.
I don't know.
I remember seeing this on a showcase, and I think it was Wholesome.
I don't remember offhand. I did do the screener of Wholesome, but I don't remember if this was here.
It was in the 6-1 Steam event, if that helps.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Shout out. And then these are quicker ones, because again, I wasn't as hands-on with this one. Motion Wreck is another really cool platformer. It's a puzzle platformer. The shtick is you do some movements. So let's say you like go to the right and you like go up a few inches. You record that, and then you can just move that way. So what you would do is like maybe you like go up and then you like walk, you hit play on your recording, and you use that to like get to additional heights. Super creative, really cool. Has a nice like black and white art style to it as well. That helps.
This was a big one at PAX.
Stand out.
I remember a lot of people really liked this at PAX.
Yeah. It's from the publisher Playism, which is another like, we'll have to eventually do like a like publishers to watch or to lock in for like episode, because I think Playism is definitely in that vein as well. Soul Nexus is a text adventure, but it has some drawings in it. It's like very like picture like a blackboard, and you drew like a stick figure, like very minimal art, and you just type in what you do, like any traditional text adventure game. So it's like you go up, you go down, you look, eat, move, and that seems like really creative and cool. And then Crown Gambit, we really barely spent any time with this because it was like at the end of the stream. This was also at the mix, but I didn't really get hands-on time with it there. It's a like narrative, like tactical card game, and it just seems like it has some like fun dialogue choice integration, which like is something I'm drawn to. I feel like when it comes to like going a little bit outside your genre wheelhouse, like something that helps at least like myself is having key things to tether to that you do like, and for me, like narrative, I think is going to be the pool that might get me to check out Crown Gambit. Apparently the demo's still up, so I will add that to my library and maybe say more later about it. But yeah, I'm gonna try to get more into my demo bag. I feel like I don't really hit a lot of demos for this show, and y'all are always demoing, and I'm like, I need to start like getting my hands in like the raw beef of indie games and like making those into content patties,
That quote has to go somewhere. That was good.
Yeah, thank you. But yeah, those are my Next Fest shout outs.
Mike, I believe that brings us
our eyes turn to you.
I was just waiting for some sort of like, oh yeah, Mike, your turn. I'll give you my top 3, but shout outs to just some like things that we know about, things we've played in the past. Mina the Hollower still rocks.
Yep.
Gecko Gods in that like Breath of the Wild type Duffy, except you're a small little green man,
Little green gecko. Waiting for him forever.
Yeah, hopefully soon. Third favorite demo. Sicko game. It's called Putt Down. It's golf.
Of course it is.
It's mini golf, but like buckshot roulette vibes. There's this
seems
scary
awesome.
Dude, it's so killer. Yeah, using a shotgun to putt. You can also like you shoot with either one bullet or both bullets. That depends on that takes strength of your ball propelling forward into factors. You can also putt using the shotgun, as you just saw on screen. You have to, if you don't make it in time, this man comes after you.
Oh, I hate this.
In a certain amount of shots.
Okay, well, hold on.
No, thank you.
I may have pushed this too fast. Wait, can you re-scrub back to where's this man at?
Absolutely. So the goal is you have to get you have to make the shot in like, or you make it into the hole in like 3 shots. If you don't, this man pops out of nowhere and starts chasing you down and kills you. But you can kill him. You could fend him off with your shotgun if you reload.
Do you get more time? Like if you, so he comes to attack you, right? You shoot him. Do you get more time to like, like what would happen after that? Like, do you get more time to like try again? Is that like a fail state?
I wish I could tell you. He caught me and I failed. I had to restart.
Okay.
Because I wasn't expecting it. There was a big sign. It was like, hey, you missed this in 3 shots. And I walked really close to the sign and this man just jumped from the ceiling. I was like,
for audio listeners, picture like a literal white man, not like racially, but like physically.
Literal white man.
Literal white man in a tuxedo with a bow tie. But his hands are like big pointy stick knife things, and he has no face.
And
it's just red blood. He kind of looks like Wilson from Castaway.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. The sticks, the aforementioned sticks, they are
you're right. They're
rich
like cutters?
white people. The rich white people game with the long hammers. No.
The one the Queen plays in Alice in Wonderland.
Croquet. Yeah, you hit the ball to the stick. Croquet. Yeah, that one.
Oh, sorry. I was adding horses to it. Forgive me.
Anyways, ball put down. Very good. My second favorite.
2 T's.
2 T's. Put down. Meganaut. Narrative-driven adventure where you're floating around like the deep waters, like looking for your missing homie who's down there. Okay. I'm very tired. Kind of Dead Spacey vibes, like the
it's
zero
like
G
Abzu if you were
aspects.
Scared all the time.
Yeah.
Like, what am I
Abzu if you're scared all the time. Very reminiscent of.
It actually does kind of look like Abzu, which is weird.
Do you see a theme here with the vibes? The 0 G Mike Sicko game. The 0 G of like Dead Space, like exploring around. There's no combat or anything. Very much you're just going around talking to people, trying to find your missing colleague. There's these first person sections to see like where the hell he's gone. Demo ended with like a little bit of a swoopy scare. Very into it. Two thumbs up here. But man, the game.
Ooh, that's not what I was expecting.
The game is Ball Pit, y'all. Ball Pit from Kenny Sun and Devolver Digital. It is whatever these kind of games are called, where you hit the ball. Brick Breakers. It's a brick. It's
Ball X Pit. What's the
official title? Is
Ball X Pit.
Ball
typed out.
Pit?
It's Ball X Pit, but saying it, I believe it's just Ball Pit. It is a Brick Breaker Survivors like, and like. That pitch, hearing it at 3 a.m. at the hotel room in LA, I was like, okay, cool. Sure, whatever, we'll do it. I have not been able to stop thinking about this goddamn game all week. This thing is going to control my life. It has big Balatro vibes, big Vampire Survivors vibes. This thing is going to take over so many lives. And I pray for spouses around the world.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a brick breaker. The enemies are constantly coming down towards you. You have to use abilities and upgrades in order to kill enemies before they make it to the end of the screen. If they make it to the end of the screen, you lose hit points. Eventually you die. Does the Vampire Survivors thing where every time you level up, you get a new ability, a new weapon. There is a base building mechanic in here. I didn't mess with it too much, just because I wanted to dig back.
I'm not gonna lie, I saw that. I'm really like, oh, actually.
Yeah, I didn't dig into it too much. I don't know what it does for the ball breaker side of things, brick breaker side of things. But yeah, I'm the ball breaker. But yeah, thing rocks. I'm very excited to play more. I was talking to Paul from Devolver after they announced it. And he was like, yeah, the members of the team have like 50 to 100 hours into this game already. And I cannot stop thinking about it. I was like, and now I understand why. Yeah. It's very good. It's very satisfying. It's very fun.
I don't know if you made me want to play it more or less, because now I'm afraid. I don't have that kind of time, Mike. I don't have that kind of time. I think that's going to be the end of the games we've been playing. But I think, that's the end of this week's council. Thank you to everyone for joining us. We're on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. The Indie Council has its own socials at the Indie Council on Blue Sky and basically everywhere else. But This session is closed. Go play some indies. No.